Oh, howdy, guys. It's Giles and Keelan.
Oh,
Sorry,
I was going pure cowboy, and you went urban beatboxer.
It's because I'm holding the mic.
I was trying to think about what an original Saskatoon accent might be.
I'm from Saskatoon.
That sounds more like Texas.
No, because like Texas. I'm from Texas.
Saskatoon.
I'm from Saskatoon.
No one knows what Saskatoon is yet.
I don't even know. Well, I wonder what it means. Anyway,
no, they'll find out. It hasn't even started yet.
Yeah. Welcome, Motus Prodcast, all of that jazz. This is a really nice chat we literally just had with Tyler Harder, and then we walked downstairs and then forgot to record an intro. So
yes.
Now we're back. We spoke to Tyler at great length about Empire Parkour and building their empire in the sense of opening their first parkour training facility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we basically go in depth into a lot of the kind of how they made it happen, all the struggles, a lot of the business side of things. Keelan definitely got a little bit overwhelmed with.
Yeah, you can hear me breathe if you like to hear that.
Yeah, you can hear Keelan's silence as
yeah.
I was kind of picking his brain because I don't know, just thought a lot of. I had a lot of questions, I guess.
It is interesting because although there's Giles already says this in the episode, but there's all these other big gyms, but you really get to hear exactly how this one started, and they've obviously got their episodes on YouTube of them building their gym.
Yes,
but it's very interesting.
It is incredibly interesting. It's
Just
the reason we did it, and we, as Keelan just said, we do say again, but it's an attainable journey. It's kind of, you can see their path of how they made it happen, and I think that's quite inspiring for a lot of people within our lovely little community.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy it, check it out, and yeah, you know, all that jazz. Like, subscribe, love you.
Yay!
Intro. Tyler Harder, welcome to the Motus Podcast.
Thank you.
How are you doing? What time is it with you?
It is 10:52 in the morning.
Oh, chilling.
In the morning. That's
Having
pretty
a nice
cool.
slow morning.
In
Yeah.
the morning, right in the middle of Canada.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
So you are Tyler Harder from Saskatoon, Canada, which is the middle of fucking nowhere, right?
I'm quite surprised you pronounced that.
Saskatoon.
How do you Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
it's because
right.
it's pronounced exactly how it's spelled.
Oh, it is Saskatoon.
And
Yeah.
you
Nice,
can't,
I like
no matter
that.
how hard you try, you can't sound cool saying that either.
Saskatoon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Saskatoon.
Yeah, Saskatoon. Yeah, bro. I'm gonna pop down Saskatoon. Wicked. Yeah. Well, welcome. So, where do we even start with this? oh no. All right. I know where we'll start. So we need to inform the audience. I mean, a quick rundown is that Tyler is part of Empire Parkour, which have in the last 12 months opened their first facility.
Yes.
But we're gonna rewind a little bit because you've been training for a fucking long time, right?
I've been around for a while. Sort of behind
Yeah.
the scenes, but I've definitely been there.
But what? Was
That's
it
crazy.
07, 06?
Yeah, I started, I think, maybe early 07, shortly after I
Yeah.
graduated high school.
What-
And like
what did
everybody
you
else,
see?
it was jump written was the one thing that got me into it right away.
Yeah.
And that was when
I was
Yeah.
thinking like that.
that was while I was in high school, but I didn't really have an avenue to actually go and try it apart from climbing sheds and jumping off of things like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then Casino Royale came out, and that just like floored me.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
I
That's
saw-
the
it's
chase,
I
the chase
s-
scene at the beginning.
yeah.
obviously, yeah.
I saw that in the theater twice, mostly just to see that scene.
Wow,
I'm also
cool.
I'm actually a pretty big James Bond fan, so that helped too. But
That's sick.
that like really kickstarted it, and that came out in my last year of high school. So right after high school, I pretty much tried to get into it. I tried climbing some stuff outside. It just didn't really work. I didn't really have any injuries or anything, but I just couldn't figure out how to do it.
Did
Yeah,
you have anyone to do it with, or was this all just kind of like you were figuring it out by yourself?
So it started like that, and then I kind of like, I don't want to say I gave up. I just kind of like lost focus on how to start. So I started
Yeah.
looking around for people in the city here, and there was a couple early YouTube videos of guys just jumping off parking garages and stuff.
Was it that thing where you just go on YouTube and you search like your town
Yeah.
name and then parkour?
Exactly.
And you find like a 2-year-old cell phone video. And
Yeah.
You're like, who the fuck's this guy? Like,
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
just a couple people screwing around, and then I managed to find a really small gym here. Oddly enough, the gym was called Motus.
Was it?
Yeah, it was called Motus
Wow.
Gym, and they offered like martial arts and some CrossFit type classes, but they were also offering a parkour class.
Oh wow!
So-
Even back all the
So what? Sorry. So what year is this?
This was
This
2007, 2008, around
2000
there.
wow.
And there's parkour classes. That's pretty.
Yeah,
Progressive.
and
That's
especially
rare
for
to
this
find.
city, which is not ultimately that progressive. So I immediately contacted these guys and asked, "How do I start? Like, I'm ready to go right now."
yeah.
Met the two guys running the class. And it was two brothers named Mark and Tom Selby. They've been training a long time too, and I guess it's history from there. I just started going like
Yeah.
as much as I could, and then I never really stopped.
Sick. And just to clarify, Saskatoon is what's the climate there? Is it like cold as shit in winter?
Yeah, like the last I think a couple weeks ago, we were one of the coldest places on the planet. There was a bit of a cold. There was a bit of a cold snap there. It was about like around minus 40 degrees Celsius for about a week
That's
and a
like-
half.
That's like take a jug of boiling water and throw it in the air and it freezes, right?
Oh yeah, that's common here. People do that all the time.
But does it dry? Even though it's that cold, does the ground dry up? Because here it does not.
It's kind of hard to explain. Like, it'll warm up and things melt a bit, and then there's a cold
Yeah.
snap, and then everything just gets really hard.
Yeah. But the reason I was asking is because I'm assuming that like maybe the reason that parkour was offered quite early on in a gym there is because doing it outside just is not nearly as like it doesn't pop into your head.
Yeah.
Jesus, I don't know if you can hear that.
I
There's
did
just
hear that.
somebody- That's the hill outside my house. Somebody's just hammering it up.
Yeah, the climate doesn't really aid itself to training outside year round.
Yeah.
Our winter can last roughly 6 months. Like, it starts snowing in October, and there's usually still snow on the ground in April, sometimes in May.
Wow.
More.
And even back then, there just weren't a lot of outdoor spots to train in.
Yeah.
The city's done a lot of work in the last few years to actually like build a lot of new downtown spots where our main area is.
Oh,
So
sick.
it's
you've been
actually
using
it's
those.
actually gotten better. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2007. The reason I remembered this sort of the fact that you've been around for so long is because we spoke a few weeks or a couple of months ago on Facebook. You popped up in some photos that Scott Bass had taken
Oh, yeah.
in Paris.
Yeah.
Some like urban free flow jam in like 2007, and there's like all these big old names like Kai and all these people, and then you're there, and I was like, what the shit? Like,
Yeah. What the hell
It
am
was
I
like-
doing there?
it was like one of those time traveling things because I've only known you in recent years.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those things where you see an old image and there's like the sort of there's old Keanu Reeves in from the 1800s or whatever. And it was you, and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I don't mind being compared to Keanu Reeves. That's all right. Yeah. I think that was like 2009, 2010, and it was
so it wasn't that. Yeah.
it was my first time going to Europe, and it wasn't a parkour trip, but I was just traveling around Europe and trying to plan a little bit of parkour as I was going.
Yeah.
Parkour wasn't like I wasn't taking it as seriously then either, but that trip actually changed that coincidentally.
Oh, really?
So
Sick.
Urban Free Flow had posted that they were hosting this big jam in Paris called Session Internationale. And I was like,
was
what?
it international with an E on the end?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Shit, it's like we're in France. Whack an E on the bottom of it.
So I didn't know anybody overseas yet at this point. So my hope was to just go to this jam and try and meet people.
Yeah.
And then I think I saw on Facebook that Scott Bass was going, and I had just started seeing his videos at that point, and I really liked them. They were some of like the best, purest parkour
for
videos
sure.
I saw at the time.
Yeah.
So I just like messaged him on Facebook pretty much and was like, "Look, man, big fan. I don't know anybody here, so it'd be cool to meet up and to see what it's all about." And he replied and said, "I'll be there. Come find me." So
Sick.
I bummed around Paris trying to find this spot, which was at Bercy,
Yeah.
where there's that weird like 45-degree grass incline on the walls.
Oh, I've seen that in
And
videos.
then that weird
Yeah.
fountain thing
Yeah,
where
that
it just feels like you
super weird fountain. Yeah,
and you
so
just fall into it and get bodied at the bottom.
so I was really worried. The first time in Europe, I think I was like 20 at the time. And
How old are you?
I'm 31.
31, because George is downstairs and we were saying we're doing this. And
Yeah.
he asked how old you were, and he was like, "Yeah, I swear he's a sort of a plus 30s, but looks like a fucking youthful teenager."
I get that a lot, and I'm very okay with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's a great. I'm kind of similar. If I shave, I get ID'd and everything anywhere. Like I look so baby faced.
Yeah.
I don't have any kind of a beard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not the worst thing in the world to have.
Same here. Yeah, sure.
So I'm walking around Paris. I don't really know where I'm going. This was before the advent of smartphones, really. Like I think the
Yeah.
iPhone existed, but nobody really had any smartphones, so I didn't have one.
Yeah.
So I think I Google Mapped something from my like hotel before I left to try and find it.
Print
then-
out on a piece of paper.
Yeah, pretty much. And then as I'm walking around, I see a group of guys wearing baggy sweatpants and kalengis.
Oh,
So I was
amazing.
like, I'm just gonna follow these guys. So I did, and sure enough, ended up at this jam, and there's immediately like 200 or 300 people there, with
That's
with
sick.
people who I've only seen on YouTube before. Again, this was before Instagram, so the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
avenue was really Facebook and YouTube. And it just immediately started seeing all these people that I was randomly friends with on Facebook or saw videos from, and it was kind of mind blowing. That was the first real parkour jam I went to.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
like
No,
young
that's
young
really
Kai
cool.
Willis was there doing some massive jumps. Joanne LaRue with his whiskers and
Yeah,
his cattail.
And his tail, yeah.
And the man himself, Easy Styla.
Oh wow.
I have a funny
The
story there
Predator.
that I like to tell.
Oh, really?
I won an Urban Free Flow backpack on Facebook, like I don't know, like 11 or 12 years ago,
Yeah.
just on one of their random draws. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go to this jam. I'm gonna wear my bag and support it. And so I go up to Easy just to like introduce myself, and he's like, "Where'd you get that bag?" And I was like, "I actually won it from you." And he just looks at it and goes, "Those bags were shite." I'm like, oh my god, you gave it to me, man. I still have it. It's in my closet.
Wow.
Amazing. And then he penetrated you.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we kind of covered. I've got written down, was there really a scene in Saskatoon? But so it was a slowly emerging one.
Yeah, it was kind of a slow burn until it just kind of exploded. So there was
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have experienced this in your communities as well. But there's people come and go. People show up. They're
Oh,
for
for
sure.
sure.
they're
yeah.
jazzed for like a couple months and then they just kind of disappear.
Yeah.
So that happened for years, and I just stuck with it. Friends would get busy. I know people get married, have kids, especially when you're closer to my age. So people start
Yeah,
falling
yeah.
off. You don't see them trained as much, and then I just kept going. Like I stubbornly just kept training,
Yeah.
and then more and more people started showing up. Eventually, who are now my business partners, Jordan and Logan. They're a little bit younger than me, so they started training alongside us, and then it just kept building from there. We started running classes, and now there's just there's more kids that I can keep track of that we teach now.
That's sick.
Yeah.
All right, you've accelerated past the questions.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Sorry.
Calm down.
Sorry.
we gotta long this thing out. So actually, what I wanted to say before we got onto the gym stuff, because the gym stuff is going to obviously be the bulk of this thing.
Absolutely.
But you are undeniably. What was that?
Yeah, the gym stuff's the
Said
bulk.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You are undeniably a massive supporter of parkour brands.
As much as
Like-
my bank account allows me, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you really put in an effort, and I think, I don't know how, but you somehow do it without seeming like one of those fanboys who wears every single parkour clothing at once. Like, you just, you buy the shit you want, and you kind of flaunt it in, like, a respectful manner, in sense of, like, it's very evident that you are doing it because you really, truly believe in, like, supporting the up-and-coming brands. And you do your reviews on Instagram sometimes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you take a lot of photos as well. Like, what is the mentality there? Is it just like you just want to fucking support? Like,
I mean, we're all so small still. Like, as big as
Yeah.
the sport seems like it's getting, it's still small. And like every little brand that comes up, they're not going to succeed unless people actually support them. And like
Yeah.
you see all the comments on Instagram, like, "Oh man, I would love this hoodie, but are you actually going to buy it?" How many people actually do? So I mean, we make clothes for our community as well, and I appreciate every single person that buys whatever we make. And we don't do anything on the same scale that you guys do or any other brand. We don't do anything from a factory. So I love it when people support us. It allows us to make more things. So I always want to make sure that it keeps this community more vibrant. The more brands that succeed, the better.
Yeah.
awesome.
I think like it initially started just as a way to stand out without being one of those guys that does backflips at like the supermarket or something. Like I don't need to like tell the world that I do parkour, but I could show it off in my own unique way. That this is a community that I'm proud to be a part of.
Yeah. No, I really rate it. It's always been so evident that like, I mean, I guess I've seen it a fair amount because if there is a new collection that we drop, like you will always comment and be like, I want that, or I'm going to get that. And then you actually stand by it and you do that compared to so many people who don't. But then you do your reviews and things, and like you wear so many different brands, and it's just sick. So I have a huge amount of respect.
I'm wearing 3 different brands right now.
Amazing, because it's like you could spend a quarter of that and outfit yourself at a local shop, but it's like you'd rather obviously put your money in the right place.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just like it's all so unique too. Like I can, without even saying anything, I can just stand out with what I'm wearing. Like the fits are different, the cuts are different. We've sort of developed our own unique style with the clothing that these brands are putting out.
Yeah, it's definitely slowly happening.
Yeah.
I think actually you were talking about this the other day, weren't you?
What?
Didn't some guy message Jason Paul and put it on his story?
Yeah, saying how it's like, well, this guy thought that he didn't know if there was an actual like style within parkour, if you can tell if someone does parkour, which I think you kind of can.
I think it's slowly getting there.
It is, like you were saying, with definitely back in the day with kalenjis and baggies, like you could just see.
Yeah, it wasn't the style we wanted.
No, it wasn't. Kalenjis and baggies.
We all thought we wanted it, yeah.
I haven't done the baggy sweats in a while.
Yeah, then we wanted a girlfriend as well as that look, and it kind of, got a bit confused.
Yeah, the pants don't help.
No, it's the grey ones especially. So okay, where do we go into this? I think for anyone listening, we're obviously, I mean, given the title of this and the content, we're going to be talking about like the road to building or starting or opening a parkour gym. There are obviously, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people listening to this who probably haven't heard of you, Tyler.
Oh,
but
definitely.
the reason we wanted to speak to you is because I think you and the guys have taken probably the most attainable, approachable way to do it, which we'll go into, rather than kind of, well, actually, I don't know all the details, but I know there'll be some people that's like, oh, why are you not asking Tempest or Apex? And it's like, well, they've been going for a numbers of years now, and they're in a completely different position now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, you, I think, are the ones that people can look up to, and also because you documented it. So anyone who doesn't know, is Tyler is a really talented filmmaker and photographer, but he has been producing a lot of media for the gym, and did it's like 13 or 14 episodes, right?
Yeah, I think it's 13 total.
I think it's 13, but then you did like a roundup one that doesn't have a number, so I counted that.
Yes,
But,
correct.
Yeah, but and it's like a BTS of the entire fucking journey. And I think that's why your story is so much more interesting to like talk about, because it's fresh essentially. But yeah, so the gym is Empire Parkour.
Yeah.
Like when did Empire Parkour become a thing? Obviously you've got Jordan and Logan in there. Like, was it a team initially? Was it just a group of mates? Like how has this journey developed?
It was pretty organic. I mean, I'm sure everybody talks about building a gym at some point.
Yeah,
I think that's like a
well, I think
conversation
that's the
that
thing.
everybody has, and so I mean that's how it
that's-
started for us.
Yeah, and this is why I want to speak to you, because it's just everyone sits around and you talk about it, but it's like you guys actually did it. So I want to just go through that process essentially.
So I think we made a Facebook page called Saskatoon Parkour, just as a better way to organize the community here, so that if anyone wanted to try it, they could at least find out where to even start. Why, like, just meeting us.
When was this?
I think this was probably 2014, 2013.
Okay. Yeah.
So no one else was doing that, obviously, and we just started from there. And for some reason, that page got hit up so fast. That was in the earlier days of Facebook pages where you could really generate a lot of likes organically without putting money on it.
Yeah.
So we hit hundreds of likes within a couple weeks, and for some reason, we just got hit up by so many different news agencies. Like within a couple weeks, I think I must have did 5 or 6 different interviews.
Oh, really?
Like print
But
ads, radio
is this
ads.
before classes? This isn't classes. This is.
I think we maybe
Or
had
is
1
it?
or 2 classes running at that point, but we definitely were not
Right,
like
yeah.
full scale or anything.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, where did the class idea come from? Because it would be very easy just to go, oh, we're a team, or like, oh, let's just do parkour for ourselves and put a page together for training sessions. But
It just came from the immediate demand.
yeah,
I think
wow.
we had 1 or 2 classes running at a gymnastics club. I think Jordan was teaching them, and they just kept getting more full. So he came up to us and he's like, "If you guys want to coach, I need help. we need more coaches."
And so that just basically just happened, like it just fucking happened. Because I know that there are some towns in England you could go and run a parkour class and you get one person turn up. Like,
yeah,
I think
these classes started filling up right away.
yeah, that's amazing.
And then eventually the gymnastics club we were in, they moved to a bigger facility. So they were able to accommodate for more classes. So we started adding more and more there. Just between the 3 of us, Jordan, Logan, and myself. And then many of our students were coming up really fast and just progressing really well and just maturing really fast. And a lot of them started coaching with us as well.
And so, like, what's this time span over this? And like, how? I mean, when you guys started coaching, were you any good, or was it just kind of like you were doing it because you just knew a bit and other people knew a bit? Like,
I mean, we've definitely gotten better, which is with the practice. I mean, personally, I think I've definitely just being a leader. Basically, you don't go into parkour expecting to be a leader in a community.
No, yeah.
As soon as you start teaching, you're that responsibility is thrust on you, whether you want it or not.
yeah.
So I think learning to accept that helped. It definitely was like I didn't feel like I deserved that role early on because I'm just a guy doing parkour. Like, what do I know?
Yeah.
But these kids don't know that. They look up to you as someone who can teach them these awesome skills they want to learn. So confidence was like the first thing you learned, really.
Yeah.
Do you have to get anything like any certain like insurance or something for teaching parkour and
Like qualifications
Canada,
out
yeah.
there.
Well,
in England,
when we were with the gymnastics club, we had to get gymnastics certification.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had to get recertified for that every other year or something. It was always a pain in the ass.
Mm.
And then those classes just kept progressing, and then they started getting really full. There was one class where Jordan and I had like 25 kids in one class, and there was just no room. We couldn't accommodate to that many students, and the gym just couldn't accommodate the space. And we were getting into arguments with gymnasts, and it just really wasn't working. So we started getting sick of the whole gymnastics club thing probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's when the conversation about opening up our own space really started. So,
And I guess because like you had such a large existing sort of a subscriber base or whatever you would call it, like you already had an audience, right? That you knew that there was scope there.
we had a monopoly on the classes in this city, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just that gym. I was teaching at 2 other facilities at one point. We were
Oh, wow,
we were
that's
teaching
cool.
at our local YMCA for a little while, and Jordan and I were teaching classes at a cheerleading club in another town for a couple of years as well. So not only did we monopolize the market in our own town, even towns adjacent to our own.
Yeah.
So-
And was this like, is this just your full-time job?
Now it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Before, and the years leading up to it, we'd all work our full-time jobs, and then we'd go coach and run community events and stuff.
Yeah.
And that definitely played into it. Like we all got pretty tired trying to do that, working full jobs
Yeah.
and then going to coach and just trying to maintain that enthusiasm so the kids remain excited.
Yeah.
That's definitely a struggle.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think like maybe 2 years ago, the 3 of us sort of sat down and were like, what would this look like if we do this? What do we need? How can we achieve this? Who do we need to talk to even like get advice?
Yeah.
Anyone who owns a gym in Canada or North America has probably got a message from me at some point, just trying to bite the ear off about what to do.
Yeah. Just trying to find out.
So like everything we did, we're by no means like trailblazers here. We're definitely following in the footsteps of giants as far as building a parkour gym goes. Like we got advice from many other successful gym owners and what to do and what the process is like.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the thing is like it's just that it's the beauty in the kind of connected community is that you can just take bits of info from each person and apply it to your own situation and
That's pretty much
see
what we did.
see what works. Yeah. So this is what, like, did you say 2-3 years ago you kind of started the like, okay, let's actually look at our own facility type thing?
Yeah. I mean, I think one day we calculated how much money the gym was making off of our classes alone.
Oh, because were you paying them like a fee?
They hired us as staff to cut down on insurance costs, I think. But our classes were really full, and they were charging a certain amount per student. So we kind of figured out how much they made per session. A session being like 8 to 10 weeks or something.
Yeah,
and as soon as we saw that number, we were like, "Holy shit!"
So you could see the scope there.
Yeah.
I mean, so where? I mean, I guess the big question when it comes to any kind of facility or anything is like, well, all right, you need a physical space. You need 6 months of rent up front or whatever it is. Like, where did you essentially attain the sort of the initial capital to get that thing going? Like, and also, well, I guess that is a question, and it's just also like how much, because there's so many people in parkour who are not business people, and then you become a business person because you have to learn. Like, did you go in with an existing business plan, or were you shooting in the
did
dark?
Actually. So Jordan, while he was in university, took a minor in business and entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
And their final project was to develop a business plan for a business that doesn't exist. But he turned that around and did it for our gym, essentially. So we got all this real-world data that we could apply to our own business, using real-world numbers, too, because we actually had physical numbers from classes to prove that it was viable.
Yeah, that's very useful.
So he took that and ran with it and developed a business plan that way. And then just through like local consultations and mentors that sort of helped us, we were able to develop that business plan into something like a little more concrete.
Yeah.
You see like a lot of parkour gyms online that it just looks like a dingy basement or something.
Oh,
yeah. It's like
sure. I think this is the thing is
we wanted to avoid that. We really wanted to avoid that. Like we wanted a safe, clean looking space that parents are comfortable giving their money to.
Yeah.
So like we didn't want to just get some like dingy garage or something. Like it had to be, at the very least, it had to be like a clean, relatively new space.
Yeah, I think that's where what I have sort of seen a lot from the outside is like, I think in Europe you don't see it so much because it is more expensive and therefore it's harder to do it in the first place. And like if you've got to the point where you have one open, you've probably done your homework.
Yeah.
But it definitely feels like in America and Canada it's more attainable and cheaper, and therefore there's been a number of people who've like rushed into it.
Yeah.
And it just it doesn't look the part, and it doesn't feel the part, and then they're around for a couple of years and then they kind of fade away. And whereas you guys, it's felt like sort of since day one it's been very, very like branded and like clean and established.
Yeah, that was definitely part of the goal.
Yeah. That's sick.
So
how did you
Sorry,
I was just gonna say. So like Jordan obviously took on the kind of business side of things. Like, how did the delegation of roles go between the three of you? Like, was that organic or?
It was pretty organic, yeah. So my background, I actually before this one started another business that was around social media management and content creation. So that really explains my background as far as like making content goes and running our social media. So I had a little bit of experience starting a business there on top of making content for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
So that all sort of fell on my lap, which made sense. Jordan is really analytical and really good with money.
Yep.
On top of having the business and entrepreneurship background. So he took over a lot of those roles. And Logan is really good at setting up classes and setting up curriculums. So he's sort of the, I guess, like class head coach, I would say, and he makes sure all of our coaches are in the right class, and just make sure everyone's like getting the right hours that they need, that kind of thing.
Yeah. How many coaches do you have now?
I think including the three of us, there's 9 total.
Oh wow!
And
so I mean, you fully have you're employing many people.
Yeah, are we paying that well? Hard to say.
Well,
we make sure everyone's paid really well. It's just like you're not getting a full-time job teaching parkour. Like that's pretty rare.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is the thing, is that like it's a lot of people rush into things, and it's so beneficial to find the right person for the right role, because otherwise, like if I mean, let's say you were to take on the money side of things, maybe that's not your forte, and therefore, like, if you're in charge of that, maybe in a year's time it's all going to go out the window, and it's like you've got to have the right. It's like got to be the right person, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely not my forte. Not that I couldn't possibly learn it, but I think the time spent learning it would just be a detriment to the business itself. I think it would just
the gym would be really tatty, but you'd have loads of new parkour clothes.
I'd have all of them.
Yeah.
So speaking to your other question about like where the money comes from.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the big kind of the nugget of like, well, it's basically like it's every gym. You're like, well, how did they start this?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
I actually I get the most questions about that too. Like, how did you guys raise the money? I know some gyms, they'll raise money as a business, whether through coaching, hosting workshops, whatever, and then have the business save that money. But Empire wasn't really in a position to save money because we were employees of a gym to teach classes. So we were getting paid as employees, but the gym or the group itself, Empire, was not making money apart from selling the odd T-shirt here and there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the next step. How do we figure that out? So we started talking to other gym owners. Kent and Micah from Unparalleled Movement have actually been super helpful in giving us advice.
Yeah, sick.
I think their situation is more similar to ours than any of the other bigger gyms.
Yep.
Like their town, Missoula, is actually quite a bit smaller than our city. So their success.
What's your
Our population is like maybe 300,000.
Yes, that's not that big, is it?
And I think Missoula is about 70,000. So
really?
So we look at that. We look at their climate, and they're able to make something like that succeed in a climate that small. Then we should be able to, with triple the population, make something work here.
Yeah.
So
I'm just looking up the population for our local towns now. Oh, Seven Oaks, 20,000. What about Tunbridge Wells?
But they're not cities.
No, they're not cities, but this is like the two local big places near us.
And I think where you guys are, a lot of the smaller towns are closer together, right?
Oh, for sure.
Where here, like, towns and cities are very separated just because Canada is so
it's
big.
Like, and you kind of can then create that monopoly, can't you? Because you're like, well, we're the exclusive one to this thing.
There's nowhere else to go.
Yeah. And you can't fucking travel because it's minus 40 outside.
It doesn't. I mean, life doesn't stop. People still go to work. People still do stuff when it's that cold here.
Yeah, I mean, give it -1 in the UK and the entire country shuts down.
So, following the advice of these guys and other gym owners in Canada here, we tried to figure out how we get funding. So, there were a few options. We talked to a few financial advisors, and they're basically like, for us to loan you money, you need to prove that you have this much money in your bank account. And it was like, we each had to have like $10,000 or $15,000 or something, which we don't have.
It's like getting a mortgage, I guess. Like
essentially,
similar things. Yeah.
In the legal sense, it's pretty much exactly like that. So then we reached out to some family, see what kind of money we can make that way, and it's still, we'd be stretched pretty thin. There was no room for error, which is a scary position to be in when you're trying to get something like this off the ground. And then Logan's mom actually set us up with this financial advisor whose specialty is helping startups and like new businesses. So she paid for sessions for us to go talk to this woman and figure out what to do. So she analyzed our business plan, gave some critiques on it, what we could change, and then introduced us to this thing called, I believe it was called a micro loan from one of the local bank chains here. And it's specific to new businesses that are smaller in size.
Yep.
So the loan amounts aren't massive. If you're trying to start like a huge corporation or like a tech firm, you probably wouldn't get this loan. So we were approved for, I believe it was $50,000 to start.
Yeah. And this is Canadian dollars,
This is Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
So with that, Jordan came up with like a really solid budget to where all that money would go. So he methodically priced out all the supplies we would need. This is important, by the way, too. Like, budget is like the key. We followed that. We followed that budget like it was the Bible. And
well, you have to. That's the thing. Like, I mean, you just fuck it.
That's why you've got it done.
Yeah. It got us like through everything, and we actually came in a little under budget, even with some pretty heavy disturbances while we were building.
And does this includes like literally like supplies for building and things, right?
Yeah, and about a year of delays as well. So
yeah. I mean, we'll go on to that in a minute. Like.
Yeah. So with that loan, figured out what we were doing. And then the search for a space began, basically.
Yeah. So they you put forward the business plan with the budget, and then they gave you the money, and then you had to find the space.
Sorry, I got my stages mixed up. We did start looking for spaces, and then the budgets that we got were sort of based on whatever we looked at.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
Yeah.
obviously giving money away without a concrete location
Yeah.
is like
we
iffy.
did talk to the bank and these financial advisors first, just to sort of
Yeah.
figure out what information we need to gather before we submitted anything. And then we didn't want to pay. We didn't want to pay for a realtor. We were like, we'll do this on our own. We'll figure it out. And so we found a space that was awesome. It was big. It was in a really good location. And so we started talking to the people that owned it and started to figure it out. And then the expenses just started piling up. And suddenly we calculated that we needed a $150,000 loan for this.
Yeah.
So we were like,
Jesus.
that's not right. And then the people owning it they didn't want to make any compromise. Like, they were using it as storage. It was a mattress factory. They made mattresses and stuff.
Wow.
And in this warehouse, they were storing a bunch of prison mattresses that they were making.
What the fuck?
And the woman legitimately was like, well, if I rent this space to you guys, where am I going to put these mattresses?
In a prison?
Yeah, like, that's not our problem. We're trying to give you money to actually rent this space.
Yeah.
So, based on Kent and Micah's recommendation, they said, get a realtor. You won't regret it.
Yeah.
So we said, fair enough. We got a realtor. And sure enough, it was probably the best decision we could have made.
Do you have like usages in Canada for, like, I know in the UK buildings are sort of regulated as certain usages. So like your typical industrial unit, like the one your gym is in, typically they're rated as like trade, which would be kind of like a DIY supply company, like wood and tools and things. And we have, I don't know if it's the same, but we have essentially what you would call kind of industrial estates, where you will find just these large warehouse style stores that just sell kind of like, we have B&Q and Homebase and computer stores as well. And so all these units are rated as trade because and they're super fucking reliable for rent, because like the businesses that typically go into them they're just reliable businesses, and buildings like that don't like to change their usage.
Yeah.
Because it's risky. Like it's more risky for them to take on something, let alone like parkour, just anything that is, I don't know, a climbing gym or something.
Yeah.
Because
so here
it's not a fucking trade company, like.
Yeah. So here, that's just basically your permits and.
Yeah. Okay.
The type of occupancy you're having. So this actually bit us in the ass really hard, and it was I don't know if we actually learned anything from it, because we didn't actually do anything wrong, but this is where the year-long delay happened. So our realtors showed us around a few spots, and then eventually we found this perfect one. It was an unfinished warehouse unit, so there wasn't no flooring in it or anything yet. So it was pretty much ready to go, built to suit our needs.
Yeah.
But the realtor mentioned that these guys have never really budged on it. Many people have tried to rent it out, and they don't care. There's a very successful real estate development company. They didn't need the money, so they just didn't care.
Is this the one where there's like a photo of you standing in it, and it's full of like an RV and a few other things?
It might be. No, this one was empty. There was just like dirt on the floor on this one.
Oh, okay.
There are photos of this one though. But we met with these guys anyway, and they seemed super nice. The owner was like pretty clear that he didn't really know what we were doing. He didn't quite know what parkour was, but he was willing to like hear us out and figure out what it is and see if we could work on something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like our young, energetic attitude or what, but based on a few discussions, he agreed to lease us the space. And we put forth a timeline to get everything done. So I think we started the deal. It was like, this was maybe June or July of 2018.
Yeah.
And then the goal was to take possession of the place, I think it was October 1st.
And so is this, he says, yeah, you can rent it, and then do you have to go back to the bank and say, here's our revised budget? Like,
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So the loan we got based on this space was that $50,000 I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So all the paperwork was signed, and they had whatever it was, 4 or 5 months to actually finish the space. And they agreed to make some changes on the space as part of their like investment.
Yeah.
So they were going to pave the floor, add in the plumbing and heating that we needed, and actually build us office and change rooms.
Oh wow.
And
That's quite a lot.
and we wouldn't have showers included as well, because like how many parkour gyms have showers? Not many.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted that because we knew we would want to host out of town people and whatnot.
Yeah.
So all that was done, signed the paperwork, signed the loan, got the money in our account. We started buying some equipment, some tools, random equipment we needed and whatnot, just so we can get a head start.
The entire Farang collection, things like that.
Exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
so keeping in contact with them, just trying to see what the progress was like. We were in touch with their builder. His name was Matt or something. And we started getting a few red flags here and there. Like he'd call us and ask what kind of business we were. And Jordan actually like did the research and figured out exactly what type of permit we needed to function in this space. And
Yep.
the permit refers to more so the fire rating of the building you're in. If you're going to have this amount of people in it, the walls need to have a certain amount of fire rating so that they burn
Yeah,
longer,
right,
that kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So Jordan actually I think he took out they were like the city code textbooks from the library at the university and like legitimately.
Jordan sounds like the fucking man. He just
Yeah, and he legitimately researched which codes we needed to adhere to and relayed
Yeah.
that information. It was actually in our business plan and the proposal we sent to these building owners. So they had this information, but the guy just kept asking us. He asked if we were a physiotherapy clinic. And we were like, absolutely not even close.
Yeah.
And then they kept asking how many people we expected to have in the building at one time. So we did the math, and it was roughly like between 30 to 40 with classes going
And this is-
on, with parents.
This is just their. Is this just their builder? But he's just trying to do it to the right spec, essentially.
Well, we didn't know at the time. I think we got some insight later on from our realtors what they think may have been happening, which
Okay.
led to the year-long delay. So this kept going on, and it just kept getting closer and closer to the possession date, and we were still getting these questions. We were getting worried. So they kept asking how many people we'd have in the building. We said this many, and he said, "Well, can you change it to this many instead, like a lower number?" And we said, "No, we can't guarantee that." And he's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I'll figure it out." And then we get to the possession date. We go to the building, and there's still dirt on the floor. And there's no lights, there's nothing, and nobody's there. We can't get a hold of anybody. So eventually, we get a hold of this guy, and he's having some issues getting permits from the city. And he's blaming it all on the city.
Yeah.
But as we learned later, after many meetings and phone calls, this whole process took an additional 3 months. So this went on until the end of 2018. That they didn't want to actually pay the money it would cost to get the permit that we needed, even though they legally agreed to do it in our agreement. So
Okay.
they were trying to find a way to sort of get around those duties by putting the blame on other people, including us. So they started blaming us, telling us it was our fault that we didn't tell them how many people were going to be in the building. Therefore, they could not supply the permits we needed to make it happen.
And yet you've got Jordan with like the most concrete business plan and every single piece of information you could
Yeah,
require.
it was
Yeah,
it was all there in front of them, and they just refused to see it. So we had this
Yeah.
final meeting with the owner, and he's like, "There's no deal. We're not doing this." But we had already given them like a $12,000 deposit, which was to
Fuck.
cover a few months' rent, and on top of that, spent money on equipment that we now had nowhere to store.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went into scramble mode, had to get our lawyer involved and come up with a way to get our deposit back without having to incur any like penalties or extra fees.
And lawyers have to be paid.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Obviously. So we lost a little bit of money in this process. It wasn't too bad. It didn't set us back too much, but it set us back a year.
Yeah.
So like our gateway to open the gym was to have it open for January 2019. So we
Yeah.
were
Sorry, wait. So
that
did
was
that?
the-
So did it set you back a year in the sense that you needed to earn the money back, or was it just a year because
no,
the next bit
so
took a year?
fortunately the loan, like we were able to just keep the loan. The bank was super helpful actually. They said like if you need to defer this you can, but just let us know. But we just immediately started looking for a new space. Like we just
Yeah.
said, basically we just said fuck it, this situation sucks, but we can't sit on it. We just have to go.
Are you making repayments on the loan while this is going on, like immediately?
No. So that's where the bank came in, and they were like, we'll just
That's
chill for
sick,
now.
Yeah.
We'll reset the time frame for your loan payments based on
That's
when you get
very
it,
cool.
based on when you get a new space. So the only thing we would have had
Yeah.
to pay back is the money we actually spent leading up to that, which is I think it was under $5,000 at that point.
Yeah.
Not a small amount of money for us, but it was enough that we could still get by if we needed to.
Yeah.
So we were pissed, we were tired, and like morale was definitely low, but we just said like, just fuck it, let's keep going. And we just immediately started looking at spaces nonstop, and that's when I just started filming those building an empire videos.
Yes.
Like
yeah,
we had already announced at this point that we found a space and that we were opening in January 2019.
Well, that's what I remember seeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was this thing. It was like, oh shit, it's happening. And I think that's probably when I first
Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken for a good few years now, but I think I remember being like, oh shit, that's sick. And then it just kind of went silent for a while.
Yeah. Like we got all this awesome community support. Everyone was so happy. Everyone was like, how can we help? What can we do? Let's make it happen. And then we had to make an announcement that we lost the space. But I didn't want to just do that with like a shitty Instagram post. And I was planning on documenting the whole building process anyway.
Yeah.
So I decided to just say, fuck it, I'm going to start now. I mean, building a gym isn't all like roses and puppy dogs. There's going to be shit that sucks too, including losing a space.
So that's the best bit to document. Well, like, not the best bit, but like,
Yeah,
it's.
gives it
I'm
more.
so glad you did it. Because,
Yeah.
And I think more people. It's like we've spoken about it so much on this. Just trying to be more transparent and show the
absolutely.
journey more. Like.
So the first episode of Building an Empire started pretty much a couple months after that, where we basically just announced. So we lost the space. Shit sucks, we know. Sorry we wasted your time, but we're already looking for another one, blah, blah, blah.
And are you still coaching while this is all going on in the gymnastics places?
Yeah, here's the shitty part. So we canceled all of our classes everywhere else we were teaching in the anticipation that we were going to be building throughout the winter and starting our classes at the beginning of the new year.
Yeah.
So we had to scramble and find a way to just start coaching again. So we went back to our like main gymnastics club and we're like, sorry, we quit. But we're back. Can you help us out? And they were gracious enough to give us a little bit of time. They had already filled the spots we were using before, but they gave us some space to actually fill classes and actually just keep it going a little bit. We limped along as we could for a little while.
Yeah.
So started filming Building an Empire, finding a new space, even filmed us like looking at new buildings with our realtors.
Yeah.
And just what that whole process is like. And we looked at a bunch. I don't even know anymore. There's a bunch I didn't even film that we looked at.
Is it like with a realtor? Do you, because it's not like you're just looking at a house. It's commercial. So are you paying them per hour, or do you pay them a commission once you decide? Or
yeah, so that was what we learned. We were initially hesitant on getting a realtor because we just assumed we had to pay for their service. But
yeah, like every time you're out with them.
Exactly. But their fees are paid when they sell the building of their client, so that we don't actually have to pay.
It's in their best interest to basically do the right job, kind of thing.
Exactly. So
yeah,
they get paid from whoever's selling or leasing the place that they're trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
So
okay.
and these guys, we had a couple realtors with us, and they were awesome, and they were actually a recommendation from our lawyer, who I haven't mentioned, started out as a parkour student of ours and became our lawyer.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, Joe, he's a fantastic lawyer.
That's very cool.
Another thing that sort of happened organically throughout this process of finding a realtor, dealing with a lawyer, is just the connections we made really organically. We asked our lawyer, hey, we need a realtor. Let me put you in touch with this guy. Then we asked our lawyer or our realtor, we need to get insurance. Do you know anybody? He's like, oh yeah, my best friend does this. Put us through that way. So like you really got to talk to people. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to a lawyer or a realtor. They will give you information for free. They'll let you know when they're going to charge you. So don't feel bad about actually just reaching out to somebody and just trying to get a consultation. They're usually free and they're usually very valuable.
Yeah.
So go through the process of finding buildings again. Not finding anything good. Everything we're finding is like really, really dirty or old or just too expensive, or straight up the landlords just don't want anything to do with us.
Yeah.
We had that.
I mean, it's a risk for them, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't know who we are. They don't really know what parkour is. Like, how do these guys make money? How can they prove that they can afford this place for a 3 to 5 year lease or whatever they sign on?
Meth lab.
That's coming next year.
Secret meth lab, yeah.
So
That's why all the obstacles are hollow on the inside.
oh yeah, there's tons of myths in there. The whole process was actually kind of a blur. Like we kind of just put our heads down and just kind of went full steam ahead. I think the failure of the first space, and let's face it, that it was a failure. Like we lost a lot of time and money on that. It just seemed to motivate us even more. Like we just
Every failure is a lesson learned.
yeah, grind, hustle, whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually, I mean, we were starting to lose hope. It was getting pretty close to where it was going to be like we weren't going to make our September deadline now to be open.
Yeah.
And then just randomly, our realtor called us and he's like, "Hey guys, I found this space. It literally just went up for sale like yesterday. I think we should go look at it like right now." So we were like, "Yeah, all right." Like,
Hold up. For sale or for rent?
Sorry, for lease.
Ah, yeah, okay. I was going to say, that's a different...
Yeah, no,
completely
we're not in
different
the position
thing,
to buy
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So we go check it out, and it was actually a space I had been to before with my previous business. It was like a small, I don't want to say CrossFit type facility, but it was like, they do a lot of like team training and fitness related things.
Yeah.
Like it was like a performance gym kind of, and it was small, but it was fairly wide open, and we kind of walked in, walked around, talked to the guys who were trying to lease it out, and it just, Logan and Jordan and I all kind of looked at each other, and without even saying anything, we all kind of agreed that was the space we wanted.
Oh, hold up. You just turned into a fucking robot for a second in our ears.
Sorry.
You were like, Logan... You were like, they looked at each other and then it went...
My connection must have died there for a second. All right, so...
what was that?
Yeah, so
You walked in, they looked at each other.
without even saying anything, we just sort of agreed that was the space we wanted. Like,
Yeah.
we walked through it, talked to our realtor, and we were like, we want it. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go put a deal in like right now. And from that,
Sick.
it had to move fast because I think it was May or June at this point. So for
But
us,
you already had the money in an account, right?
exactly.
you could
So that sped up the process. So to make this even like to work, we had to be in there by July 1st to give ourselves at least 2 months to build to be open for September. That was our timeline.
Yeah.
And we didn't have time to look for anything else. It was just cutting it too close, and we didn't really want to like push it back to January again. So we just told the realtor, just go with it. Like, we'll put in a deal right now, and we did.
And this is...
Sorry,
so
go ahead.
No, I just remember you just said it was sort of smaller. Like what is it, 4,500 square feet or something?
It might even be less than that. Yeah, it's between 4 and 4,500 square feet. Which
and
was,
were you looking at bigger initially?
we were looking for about 5.
Oh, okay.
But the thing that made this place so attractive to us is that it had locker rooms built in with showers already.
Oh, yeah.
And it had an upper mezzanine that was already built specifically for this space. And that mezzanine cost probably $100,000. So that was an investment that we didn't have to pay for, because building showers and bathrooms is actually really expensive.
Yeah.
So that gave us more money to put towards the gym itself. So we just said, we want it, we'll take it. And the deal came through like at the very last minute. Like the landlord who owned it was actually hoping to just sell it, because I think he just wants to retire and just get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
But we gave him this deal where it's like I think we did a 5-year lease where he's basically just getting paid to do nothing for the next 5 years.
Oh, sick. So
And-
it's like just super easy.
Yeah, and we met with him beforehand, and he's pretty far removed in a good way. He doesn't care what we do with the space as long as we're like respectful, obviously.
As long as you're paying rent, yeah.
Exactly. And it just kind of went from there, and the building began.
That's amazing. So, I mean, how you have your budget, right? Which you'd already obviously got. You'd obviously already got the money prior to even finding that building. But you had a rough idea of what you're looking for. How did you even like work out how? So that, I mean, you've now obviously built the thing, so you've got all these obstacles, and you've got your foam pit and things. How did you justify or work out like, oh, this much wood is gonna cost this much, therefore we can sort of work that into our business plan? Like, there must be a decent amount of guesstimating in there.
Yeah, I mean, you want to try and get as much accurate pricing as you can. So I think Jordan legitimately called like warehouse supply companies and just be like, how much does this cost? Ask if there's a discount if you're buying in bulk. So obviously we knew we were buying a ton of wood.
Yeah,
we were actually able to score a really solid discount on our plywood. I think it was like half price actually. Just because we were buying in bulk, and I think Jordan had a connection with a friend of his.
Yeah.
So definitely like ask around first. Like talk to your parents. Everybody's dad knows somebody who knows somebody else.
Yeah.
Like,
It is literally just like you ask your dad, you'll find somebody who's got wood. Like,
absolutely, which is what we did, and it gave us a
Yeah.
huge discount on wood. I think another thing that played into our budget that Jordan has mentioned about is that he was very pessimistic in his planning as far as the budget goes.
Oh yeah.
Assume
shot down.
assume everything is going to cost more,
Yeah.
and you're usually going to be okay. And that actually like saved our ass a bunch of times where we bought all the stuff we needed, and then we realized we had more money for other things. We were able to allocate more expenses to something else or build an additional obstacle that we didn't think we had money for.
Yeah, that's sick.
And it worked. That budget lasted the exact amount of time we had to build before the gym was able to start making its own money, and then it just transitioned
Amazing.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Was it also you building it too, like using the tools?
Yeah, we all
Or
built
did you have
it.
to get people in to do that?
I mean,
yeah, that's the thing I love.
That's a big money saver.
so
there.
our saving grace was our good friend Justin.
Yeah.
He's an engineer, and he's also a very handy man. And he came in with a bunch of tools right off the bat. He was there like
I mean, it's shit like
he was there day
having
one.
a good welder and yeah.
So he also welded our bars. He cut the steel.
That's sick.
He like helped us measure everything, cut everything. Like we could not have accomplished everything as fast as we did without him. I think the build probably would have taken us twice the amount of time without his help.
It's just one of those. It's who you know and the skills that they have so much more than what you know, isn't it? Like you just got to get the right people around you to make one of these things happen.
Like I was saying earlier, just don't be afraid to ask people for help. We had so many people from our community just offer to help. So on given days, people would show up with tools, or people would just show up with just their hands to help do stuff. Like take all the help you can get. Don't be too proud to ask for help.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just on my phone googling something. I'm not going to ask you how much rent you pay unless you feel like you can
compare.
Unless you feel like you can divulge that. But I just looked up. So I mean, you would never build a parkour gym in Sevenoaks because that's where Keelan lives, because it's not the right place. But I just looked up the rent on a building, an industrial building that is 4,500 square feet, and it equates to 70,000 Canadian dollars a year before rates and everything else.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is going to be far more expensive than your area, right?
Oh, I don't know the exact total. Let me check here.
I mean, I don't know if it's something you want to divulge. I don't
No,
know.
I mean
I'm not.
we're transparent about that stuff. So I feel like our rent. Oh, I can't remember. I think our monthly expenses are like $6,000 to $7,000, but that's including like a bunch of other variables as well.
Yeah.
I could probably get that exact number, but I have to go bug Jordan.
Because it does seem to be the. I mean, I'm sure there's a number of reasons, but it seems to be that the reason there are so many gyms sort of in the US and Canada is that one of the big things is rent. It just seems to be way more attainable than in the UK. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy expensive over here.
There's so much more space here, and
Yeah,
especially in our city has been sort of like on an economic upward trend. Like even since the recession happened in 2008, our city seemed to be like less affected than other parts of the world.
It's because it's the fucking place to be.
Yeah, Saskatoon. So real estate just sort of went up and up, and there's just like a massive amount of empty warehouses in the north end part of our city. But a lot of them are empty because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
So
true,
you're able to sort of it's a little bit of a buyer's market. If a landlord is willing to budge, then you can sort of name your price.
Yeah. That's sick. Maybe we should move to Saskatoon and compete.
We'll make one.
Specifically come for you. You've done all the groundwork and built a massive coaching sort of thing, and you've got all the kids, and we'll roll in.
It's the street parent gym.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, all right, there we go. That's it. That should be it. Fuck Motus. street parrot gyms, and it's like it's like jungle themed and birdcage themed.
Oh my
and
god.
like,
It's a petting zoo for kids.
yeah. Just shitloads of parrots literally just squawking everywhere. So I mean, so you documented the entire build, which to anyone who hasn't seen it, you can go and I think is YouTube the best place to watch it?
Yeah, they're all on Facebook too, but YouTube's definitely the best place.
Yeah, so go and it's building an empire, and it is just a sick video series that like documents the entire thing. And I'm in an episode as well, so you know.
Yeah, the best episode.
Worth checking out. Yeah. But I mean, it all came to open day, and it sounded like it all kind of happened sort of on time, like you got it all done in time. What has it been reception wise since you opened? Because obviously it's not like it was, you had a huge amount of what's the word, existing clientele, so to speak.
Yeah.
But have you seen a giant upsurge in kind of new people? Because I can imagine that an actual facility is so much more appealing for some people than a gymnastics gym.
Yeah, and anything that's new in this city tends to attract a lot of attention. Just because, like, if it's new, if no one's ever heard of it before, people definitely want to check it out. So, based on our, like, pessimistic approach in all the planning, we based our success on the minimum amount of people we'd need to pay rent, basically. Yeah. So as long as we made that amount, we were fine. And I think so far we've gone well and above it every month.
That's sick.
And we definitely saw a lot of old faces come to the gym. Kids we taught years ago, they're now coming back. But the amount of new people is actually insane.
That's amazing.
Like
That's cool.
our grand, I think our buildings maybe, I think we can maybe have a total of 65 people in there at once, as per our like legal permit. I think on the day of the grand opening, there's probably a couple hundred people coming in and out.
Fuck.
It was nuts. And kind of surreal too, because we just been isolated in that place all summer.
Suddenly it was filled.
And then suddenly all of our friends from across Canada came. Like we had...
Yeah, I saw Wes came out.
Yeah, Wes came from Vancouver, which is awesome. Our good friend Wes Rundle. We had a bunch of the Calgary crew come out, which was awesome. And then we even had Nick Brooks from Montana drive all the way out to come see the space. And it was awesome. That's very cool. And then just the grand opening itself was insane. Just so many people. And then it was just kind of weird. A couple days later, classes started, and it's like, okay, this is our life now.
This is the norm now.
It was a bit of an adjustment. So the big adjustment was just like, do we need to be here every day now?
Yes, I mean, what is your how much coaching do you do, and then how much do you do for the social media and things, or is that just done in the evenings or whatever?
We're still working on the balance aspect, but with the last a month or so, we've actually been able to sort of give ourselves a day off, at least one day off a week.
The rare day off.
Yeah. Like for a while, we'd all show up and we'd just be there for 12 or 13 hours and not even bat an eye, because it's just we just thought that needed to be done. Yeah, it doesn't. Also, it doesn't feel like you're there that long.
Yeah.
So we've got it set up now so that we at least get a day off a week. All of the work that I do, as far as media goes, I can do that from anywhere. I can do that from home. I can do that from at the gym. So I try to get a lot of it done actually at home if I can. That way when I go to the gym, I can just focus on either training or coaching.
Yeah. Sick.
Obviously, the hard balance is finding time to also train while doing this.
And have you found, since it now existing, that because I think you probably found this a bit, Keelan, when you worked at Underground, but you coach there so much, you spend so much time there, that sometimes you just don't want to train there?
There are those days, but it's usually it's not that bad. Even if I don't want to train, I still just want to go there and just be there.
It's just a hub, isn't it? It's not supposed to be. Yeah,
people definitely just come and hang out. It's cool. A lot of people that we haven't seen in a while come and hang. I actually train a lot more now than the first couple months we opened. I just felt I felt like I put the pressure on me that I didn't have time to train. I had to do other work, but a lot of that work is not that important. A lot of it, whether it gets done now or in 6 hours, isn't going to make a difference.
Yeah, I have to remind myself a lot about that. Like
Yeah.
it's the taking the foot off the gas a little bit to like just be like, oh well, actually I need to live as a
Yeah,
human.
like just trying not to feel guilty for just going having fun. And I think
Yeah.
we've all gotten better at that. Like, we all just have a little bit more fun just playing around the gym now. We bought a bunch of Nerf guns, so we just have like casual Nerf battles.
Yeah, so sick.
And just like not feeling guilty about having fun, I think is important.
Yeah.
Like you got to give yourself that avenue to just have fun, explore the space you build, and just try stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So like going back to the build, you did the build, and I mean it's all documented in the videos. You kind of had to change things as it went with bar setups and
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to talk
stability
about.
what in terms of
Just being versatile and adapt to change. Basically,
for sure,
take that
yeah.
parkour mentality and use it for your build. Because
Yeah.
there were things that we designed like months in advance, and we're like, this is what we're going to do, and then we'd go to start building it and realize it didn't actually work or it didn't fit,
yeah, for sure.
and we would have to
'Cause
change
it's like
things on
you're
the
not-
fly.
It's like you're not the engineer, are you? So it's
Exactly.
you've got to adapt.
Like, or we'd design something, and then our engineer friend would be like, this is not structurally sound. This will not work.
Yeah.
So you just adapt. Don't be afraid to change. There's definitely no harm in putting something aside for later as well. Like, there are things that we still plan to build that we didn't build in the initial run.
Yeah, this is what I was going to ask, because obviously, like, I mean, budgets are budgets, and you only need so much initially. Like, you kind of want to go in and create gym porn initially, but I guess you have to almost do your groundwork first, and then you can always add on and develop. And I mean, I assume you have a lot of plans for like additional bits here and there and changes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Like, obviously our space is fairly limited with 4,000 square feet, so just
Yeah.
trying to find ways to maximize the space, but don't make one thing that's single serving. Try to make one thing that serves multiple purposes.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we're really attracted to the idea of having modular equipment, things that you can move around
Yeah,
and change up.
I was going to say this because it seems to be a big thing that people are trying to experiment with, and obviously there's limitations with regards to stability and how heavy things are, but
Yeah,
there's definitely scope to do things there.
like, we only have maybe 3 stationary objects in our gym: the bars,
Yeah.
the foam pit, and then another box near the front. Everything else is modular with vault boxes and like walls that you can move and stuff.
Sick.
So I think exploring that option can add a lot of variety to your gym as well, because you can change things up every couple of weeks, and it just kind of opens up an area.
Yeah, and I mean, for coaching and stuff, I guess it's just hugely advantageous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Something I really love is like at gyms, like NorCal do it really well, and so does Hal 5 in Belgium, where every single, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but let's say there's a 4 foot wide wall. It might be, it kind of, and it's just like, I don't know, a few inches thick.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a wall, but then that 4 foot space will actually be like one half of that will be 2 foot lower, so you've got that variance there, and then in front of one of those bits there'll be a little block, and then behind the other bit there'll be a little, like, there's so many extra little bits that means that like one area suddenly has 1,000 different possibilities, and like that's whenever I walk around gyms I look at them, because I think everyone in the world does it now. Like you go to a parkour gym and you essentially build your own one in your head. You take all those bits, don't you? You're like, oh, I like that. Like,
Sometimes you look at that stuff and you're like, how did they even come up with designing that? Like, what was the thought? Or did they do it as they were building? Hal 5 especially, that gym looks so intricate.
Oh, it's so fucking cool to walk around. Like, they've just in the last few months just put a load more money into that because they got like a grant to improve it and get some sort of new flooring and things put in.
Oh, that's sick.
It's really sick. So what are your like kind of, I mean, let's say so things are going well. Like, am I right in thinking that you actually had to expand your timetable to like incorporate more people?
Yeah, like our next session registration opens up for it tomorrow actually. And, like, we're actually in the middle of like just finalizing the schedule for the next session, and we're still in that refining process. The schedule from the first session has changed so much between now and this coming up to our like 4th session already, which is nuts to think of.
What's a session? Is that like do you say an 8-week block?
Yeah, it's about 8 weeks.
Yeah, so like I guess we'd probably call it like a term or something like that.
A semester.
Yeah,
something like that.
Semester.
We typically follow like the school calendar so that
Yeah.
whenever like kids are out of school, they're also not running classes here at the same time, just so it sort of follows a pattern. But they're filling up. It's nuts actually. Like we constantly get messages now.
That's sick.
Like when can I register for the next class? Blah blah blah. The one thing that we didn't account for was birthday parties. We get hit up for so many birthday parties, and we barely even advertise it. And I think we're fully like we have birthday parties booked for the next couple months.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's insane.
Now that I'm sure you as well, because you sort of we're fairly similar in age. Like
Mhm.
you, now I'm sure you got friends with kids, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
seems to be they will do anything to keep their fucking kids busy. Like
Yeah,
anything
legit.
anything that you can take 2 toddlers to, and they can run around and do shit, or for a birthday party, they're like, cool, let's go try that. Let's try that. Like
Yeah,
face painting class, try that. Woodland thing, try that. Anything, because they just want to get out of the fucking house.
kids are actually like so busy these days. Like we have
Yeah.
students that like go to hockey practice like immediately after parkour, and then they go something else
Oh,
the next day.
really?
It's insane.
I assume the bulk of your revenue comes from kids, right? Like from classes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do get like a solid amount from just like open gyms as well, and then birthday parties is like the silent moneymaker. Like we just did not expect that to be
That's
a thing. But talking to
Yeah.
other gym owners, like I was talking to Dylan Poland from Hub in Boston,
Yeah.
and he mentioned that birthday parties there are a big moneymaker for them as well.
Yeah. And I guess they're kind of easy. I mean, it's a big group of kids, but they're all friends, and it's like
Yeah.
you don't have to structure it in terms of like, oh shit, next class they've got to be doing this. It's a one-off experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have the option of running structured or unstructured if they want to just like
Oh, okay.
fuck
yeah.
around. Most people pick structured though, and they get a beginner lesson out of it, and then they get a bit of free time, and then they're done.
That's sick. Because like, I guess there's a route of progression there, and it's more appealing, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So things sound like they're going very, very well. Like where do you see everything in a year's time? Like I would assume you're not thinking expansion and second gyms sort of anytime crazy soon, but like is that is that in your minds? Like you want to keep this thing growing, or are you just going to try and stay as a flagship?
Well, eventually we may need like a bigger space. Like we so far we can only run about 2 classes at a time, just based
Yeah.
on the size of the space we have. So I think further along down the line, getting a bigger space would be beneficial, just to accommodate more people at one time.
Sick.
But I think right now we're just building that base level of skills. Like we don't have many advanced athletes yet, so we're trying to build that advanced level of athletes, sort of bring up that next generation of parkour athletes here. And there are a few standout students for sure, and just
I think
build the community as well.
that is the coolest thing. Like literally you see a gym pop up, and within 3, 4, 5 years you suddenly have like a talent pool growing. Like I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Bournemouth, which is where Max and Luke are from, and that is undeniably a talent pool in the UK, because you've got Max, Luke, Travis Verkey, who's sort of from pretty much that area, Danny. Like there's a ton of people all from that area who are just super talented, and they all train around themselves, and it wouldn't really exist without the gym. So I think there's a huge testament to like what the gym can do for an area.
Like I think an awesome goal would be to have like
Colorado's the obvious one.
Wow,
isn't it?
yeah. There's something in the water over there.
It's called cannabis.
True.
Yeah.
I think just having this community become almost self-sufficient, where
Yeah.
if I can come into the gym and there's a kid I don't know who's doing something I've never seen before, like that would be cool. Just having someone come up on their own, training and just breaking through on their own as well. Like just developing that autonomy. We want to start a little bit more of like a competitive scene here as well. Just introducing our athletes to more competitive style training. So I think we're gonna
take them on a bus over to NAPC
Exactly.
and wage war.
Like a lot of our students are still pretty young, so just building that up. I think we're gonna try running some speed style competitions in the next month or 2.
Sick.
And just seeing how that takes off, and then maybe make that a more consistent thing.
Yeah.
Like you see a lot of gyms in the States now. I think they're about to announce it, like the Sport Parkour League qualification tours, where they sort of go around the States and all these gyms are like qualifier events for the big NAPC event.
Yeah, it's getting announced soon.
Yeah, being a part of something like that would be really cool. The competitive scene here is nowhere near close enough to even accommodate that idea yet. But just thinking about it, I think will just get us there eventually.
I like the fact that you do you've already started doing little screenings at the gym for kind of, I think you did Art of Motion, right?
We did, yeah. That's another weird thing. Kids don't watch parkour videos anymore, it seems like.
Really?
So I'll try to bring up a video that came out recently, or even one of the classic videos, and none of my students know what I'm talking about.
You know, there's How far? I mean, I've seen a number of gyms do it, but How 5 I've seen in the flesh. They have a board where literally every week they recommend a different list of videos to go and watch, and they treat it almost like homework. It's like, go check this out. Like, you have to watch this thing.
We were talking about hosting like a parkour video night at the gym one of these nights, and just have like all of our coaches pick a few videos, and just get people to come and watch it and learn some things. I like the idea of it being homework though. Like, go home and watch this and come back. It's
like, here's your inspiration. But I think for like, even if a kid is sitting in a gym and you have a live stream of NAPC going on, they can kind of almost look at their surrounding environment and be like, oh shit, like I can see, obviously see the comparison here, like two parkour gyms, and be like, okay, I can understand this competitive thing and the path that is. So
I think we're gonna get a TV actually and just have videos playing on a loop, because there's a lot of parents that don't know what they even sign their kids up for. Like, they don't even really know what parkour is yet.
It's just a new, literally something to keep the kids busy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our gym is like, there's the back area of the gym you can't really spectate, you can't really see. So like, there's a portion of the lesson that parents can't quite see, and that tends to frustrate a small but vocal minority of them.
Yeah, I can imagine that. There's always those parents, aren't there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we're almost an hour and 20, so we should start to kind of round this up. But Keelan, I feel you've been very quiet, but I think you're just listening, aren't you?
I don't think I'm at the stage where like I can fully take in a lot of what's been said, but it's like very interesting.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I don't know, I could run off and start a gym without everyone else in Motus. Yeah. Just be like, no, fuck it. I've got all the information now.
He's learned everything he needs to learn.
I've been writing it all down, that's why. No, but yeah, it is very interesting. I feel like you should get some like big videos going off in the gym. Invite some people over. It would be really, really cool. Yeah. Because I'd like to see some like fucked up stuff happen in the gym.
So we actually put out a video just earlier this month, earlier in January, that's actually like pretty close to what you're thinking of. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Davis Johnson, but he competed at NAPC last summer.
Okay.
And the name is, I'm pretty certain I know who you're talking about.
He lives in Vancouver now, and he came here for a few weeks in December, and he filmed a video with one of our best athletes, Ruben, who Keelan might know.
I know Ruben.
Oh yeah, I know Ruben.
Yeah. I don't know if you do. I don't know if you remember that you and I met because I came up to you at NAPC like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and you told me about Ruben not liking me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes. I speak to Ruben through Instagram now.
This is because of his hair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
I don't
funny.
like Keelan because of his hair.
So him and Ruben actually put together a banging video, and
is this New Year's Steez?
Yeah, that's the one. And they
we're gonna watch this afterwards.
Watch after.
They did some shit in that video that I didn't think anyone would ever do in the gym, or things they even thought of. And
oh really?
That's so Keelan's right. Like, that's an example of things I want to see in the space. Like, I want to see people come in and just throw down.
Yeah. Sure.
So just being able to attract higher level talent would be awesome.
I think it's just that it's a little bit of a slow burn, isn't it? Because like, I mean, we might watch this video and then Keelan will be like, holy shit, I want to go to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And then next time we're in the States, it might be like, well, maybe we should make it happen. Like, we can go, because I've never done Missoula either, so it's like, well, we could sort of do that, and then we could do a road trip and drive
a Canada road trip.
Yeah,
just Canada. That'd be pretty sick. I'm not even gonna.
Long drives.
Canada is massive.
Yeah.
So just for reference, Vancouver is a 17-hour drive from where I live. And I've done that in one city.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Fuck. Oh, dude.
But that said, Missoula is about a 12 or 13-hour drive.
Which is a long time, but also it seems somehow more attainable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice drive too. Like you kind of
Yeah.
go like start driving towards the mountains, and it looks cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
So yeah, let's just sort of round this up. What advice? Because it's like we've said, there's so many people who are listening to this, and it might still be so far on the horizon for them. But I think everyone has aspirations to be like, I want to have a parkour gym. What what haven't we covered? What tidbit of information that is going to push that person over the edge to steal their dad's money and make a gym?
So like, starting a parkour gym is like starting any other business. So it's going to seem like there's a lot of information out there, and to be honest, there is. But just break it down. And the biggest advice I can give, and that we've already talked about, is just reach out to people. Reach out to like a local financial advisor, or a bank loan officer, or a realtor. Just reach out. These people have all the information you need, and they're more than likely going to give it to you for free. And on top of that, just reach out to other gym owners. If anybody can send me a message and ask me any question they want, and I will answer it to the best of my availability.
Yeah, that's sick. We'll link to all your stuff in the description, so you'll get pestered by 14-year-olds.
So I was always messaging people asking like, how'd you guys build a gym? Where'd you get the money? And now I'm in the position where I'm actually getting messages from people from all over the world.
Yeah. The tables have turned.
Actually, I had like a really weird message recently. Actually, somewhere in the Middle East. I'm sure you've gotten messages from those random Middle Eastern parkour kids.
What, the ones where they go high and you go high and they go high and you go high?
Exactly.
And they're like.
So it started out like that, and then he was like,
"Yeah,
you're from Canada?" "Yes, I am." He's like, "Can you please invite me to Canada so I can get my working papers to live there and work at your gym?" I'm like, "Sorry, man. I wish I could help."
I mean, you could invite him, just don't pay him. Just.
Oh, I told them,
you
"You're welcome to come to Canada, but I can't give you your papers."
Yeah, I can't do anything, but you're welcome. Like, therefore, you haven't done a bad thing there. You've done the invitation. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the information, while it is hard to find, it's not impossible. You just gotta like figure out what you need. Figure out if your student level can even support a gym first, and figure out what it's going to take to grow that.
And it sounds like also, it's I would imagine for the most part it's too big of like, it's not really the type of thing that you take on single-handedly. Like it sounds
Not
like
at all.
without Jordan and Logan, like it's just you need
This. I don't think this ever would have happened if I tried to do it on my own. It would just be impossible.
And I mean, I'm assuming like we're obviously talking to you because I've just kind of, we just talk every so often, don't we? But like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is kind of no more yours than it is Jordan's or something like this. Like it's a fairly equal split
Yeah,
between.
of course.
Yeah. That's the way it's always felt, I think. Like, I think because you've just been quite a media presence, it's felt like you've been like a bit of a driving force because you're always the one posting. But I think it has always felt like it's a decently balanced dynamic between the three of you.
Yeah, and I really tried to include that in like the Building an Empire videos. Like I tried to make sure everyone was speaking on the parts that they were like most involved in.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if you go watch those videos, I'm not even in them that much.
Well, you're essentially behind the camera, aren't you?
I'm behind the camera the whole time, yeah.
You're doing your thing, and then you go over to Jordan, and he's sitting on the computer, like, tapping away, so...
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, it's sick. It's really, really sick. Well, we should probably wrap this up, because we need to go and make some fajitas.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
George is probably hungry downstairs.
Yeah, George is sitting downstairs.
George.
He's probably in the dark. Probably doesn't turn the light on. So.
Yeah, staring into space, but enjoying life.
Sitting on his phone.
Yeah.
Poor George.
We watched a movie earlier, Tyler, and George went on his phone quite a good amount of times.
We literally went to the cinema. Speaking of kind of letting ourselves have some fun, it was 10-1, and I was talking about. Have you seen 1917?
Not yet. It's on my list though. It looks so good.
Oh fuck me! I've seen it twice now because I saw it the other day, and I showed the trailer to the guys, and I was like, "There's a screen, and there's this tiny little cinema up the road from my house." And I was like, the screening on in 10 minutes. And they were like, I don't know. I was like, we're going. And we like literally just packed everything up and fucking ran up the road. And then George sat on his phone like halfway through, and I wanted to slap it out of his hand.
So he paid to go see the movie, and he was on his phone the whole time?
And then sat on his phone. Not the whole time, just occasionally, like, but enough that, like, and it's just he's on a list now, which is never to go to the cinema with him. There are other people on that list that I can't remember, but, like, it's, yeah. Whoa, angry. Anyway, I need to calm down. But yes, so, what's your schedule today? Do you just, like, because I assume the gym's more of a afternoon, evening thing, right?
Yeah, so actually the gym just opened about 15 minutes ago. I'm currently at home. Got to get some scheduling things finished up, and then I actually coach tonight.
Sick.
And then Fridays tend to be our sort of like team training night, where more of our coaches are around.
Okay.
So tonight we'll do some training. My goal is to actually start getting some videos out of that too.
Yeah.
Even for
get some
myself,
regular ones.
I'm trying. Yeah, that's the hard part. Finding the time to do it.
It is difficult.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm hoping to get at least like one video a month. Like when Unparalleled Movement was releasing those team training videos, like
they were so good.
They were so good, and that's the kind of thing I want to start doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And just highlighting more of our students too.
Yeah, that is the challenge.
Yeah, man.
Sick. All right. Well, we'll say an unofficial goodbye on the podcast, and then we'll stop recording, and then we'll say goodbye on the phone.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
No worries. Anyone listening, check the description. We'll whack some links in there if you live near Saskatoon or in
which
that
nobody
area.
does.
Or want to do the big old drive.
Yeah. Empire Parkour. Look it up on YouTube. Watch Building an Empire. And thank you very much, Tyler.
Thank you.
It's just bang an outro, he says.
Yes, bang an outro. Hope you guys all enjoyed that. I definitely just listened it. I was basically listening with you guys.
It was like a live podcast recording. Like,
just fun.
You were the one man.
We should get that. We could like have a subscription, and we invite people who listen to the podcast, and they can sit in the room and just listen to it live.
Yeah. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
it's a large entry fee and dinner.
Yeah.
But I hope you enjoyed that. As we've said numerous times, TMP Prodcast 10 for 10% off the store. We're currently actually running a kind of end of winter sale, so maybe don't use the discount code because you'll end up just getting more money off, and then it's not so good for us, is it?
No,
but it's good. Oh, I just punched the microphone.
You're panicking. You need to stop the sale. Stop.
But it's better for you guys. Share the podcast, obviously. Subscribe, and tell your nan if she's still alive.
Bless her nan. She
bless
won't
her
understand.
Yeah. All right. Bye. Love you.
Bye.